Okay. Now I'm going to introduce a person that we've been working with since the beginning of our process. His name is Dave Kopsa. He is manager of programs for the Boy Scouts of America at the Summit, and he's been working very closely with us, and he's been fantastic to work with. Professional, just like the whole organization, everybody that we've worked with. So Dave, come on up, please.
Thanks, Heather. I am only the lowly assistant manager of programs, but that's okay with me. What I'm going to do here tonight, this presentation is going to give you a complete, as complete as we know right now, a story of the summit, how we came about to be here in West Virginia, what our goals for the Jamboree, and a little bit of beyond that, but most importantly, talk about our goals, our hopes with the community service initiative that we'll be doing in 2013. So, where we started this story, 2005. From 1981 until 2010, all the Boy Scouts of America's National Scout Jamborees took place at Fort A.P. Hill in Virginia. This was a military base. Can everybody hear me? Okay. It was a military base in Virginia. We would borrow every 4 years for about 2 months for this 10-day event. We put up everything, took down everything, temporary little city on this military base. 2005, the growing needs of the military and for training and usage of their military bases caused us for a moment to be concerned that we might not be able to use the Fort A.P. Hill in 2005 for the Jamboree. We worked through that. We had a great Jamboree in 2005 at A.P. Hill and 2010, but that little scare caused us to realize that as Boy Scouts, we should probably be prepared. And so a process began to identify and purchase a permanent home for the National Scout Jamboree. A big part of that was this man here, Stephen Bechtel, and the Stephen Bechtel Foundation. They pledged $50 million to the site search and eventual purchase of a permanent home. I think it's important to note that he didn't donate $50 million to buy the summit. You know, he didn't come out to see the beautiful hills of West Virginia and the summit and see that and say, yeah, I want to give my $50 million to this place. He gave us $50 million to the idea of a permanent home for the Jamboree. We had not settled on a site at that point, but he believed in that so much that he donated that $50 million, the largest cash donation in the history of the Boy Scouts of America. So the search began. We received over 80 submissions from 28 states. It represents every time zone in the U.S. except Hawaii and Alaska. They sat this one out for obvious reasons. So I like to talk about, there's 4 criteria that I like to talk about that are very important for this site search. One was a centralized location. Another was access and proximity to 4-lane roads for the large amount of kids that would come in at the start and the end of the Jamborees. We also wanted to be in an area that had access and was already known for world-class outdoor recreation and adventure. And the last thing, we wanted to go to a place where we were wanted by the state government, by the local community, county governments, and by the people, the businesses and the communities that we would be coming a part of. So, geographically, you probably don't think of West Virginia as being centrally located, but if you look at population density, it is as centrally located as you can get. It is within a 500-mile drive of 66% of the U.S. population. 500 miles is 10 hours. 10 hours is the limit that a Boy Scout troop can drive in one day to an event. So that puts us within a one-day drive, within those limitations for a large portion of our population. It's also within a 10-hour drive of 33% of the U.S. population. If you look on the map, it hits Chicago, it hits Detroit, it hits New York, it hits Atlanta, Washington, D.C., so many huge population centers. You guys know the area. We've got Highway 19, 4-lane highway, 66, 64, 77. That's right, sorry. I was on 66 yesterday in the pouring rain. And we're bordered on 3 sides by the New River Gorge National River area. We all know how great that place is, but there's also all the other adventure resorts and activities that have sprung up in this area. This is an area that is already known to our scouts. Our scouts have been coming, doing whitewater rafting trips, enjoying those adventure resorts for many, many years. I've had many scouters stop me and say, man, I've been telling the Boy Scouts for years that they should come here. Half of them actually have been telling us that, the other just want to sound like they know everything. But, so, you know, taking those factors, this is a great spot. And lastly, at the time, Governor Joe Manchin, now Senator, as you all know, was hugely integral to this whole process. He personally flew down to Irving, Texas, and met with the highest levels of Boy Scout leadership and said that the state of West Virginia and the Boy Scouts of America go together like peas and carrots. That support has continued through the government, through the local communities such as yourself. We've truly felt welcomed and a part of West Virginia, and we're very, very happy to be here. So this is the site. It is 10,600 acres, mostly in Fayette County, a little sliver right here in Raleigh County. Right now, people are always asking me, are you guys going to be ready in 2013? Are you going to be finished in 2013? And I tell them, we're going to be ready. The site won't be finished. Okay? We've got about a 10-year development plan. That includes everything we're ultimately going to do on the site. So in 2013, the scouts that come to the Jamboree are going to find lots of great program facilities. They're going to find wonderful flat spots to camp on with grass, shower houses, and bathroom facilities. But when they come in 2017, they're going to find even more development and more permanent facilities built and developed. 2019, when the entire world of scouting comes for the World Jamboree, they'll be more developed. And in 2021 is when we're kind of targeting the ultimate finish of development, major development on the site. Right now, construction is focused on getting ready for the Jamboree. The Jamboree, July 15th, 2013, will be the inaugural event for the summit. It is 607 days away. Some people keep a closer count on that than I do.
606.
606. I was relatively right. So that is the big part of our day is getting ready for this mass of scouts and their flags and neckerchiefs. But construction and development right now is focused on an area we call the Jamboree footprint. It is about 1,300 acres of that 10,600 acres that we are preparing to be ready for this event in 2013. We purchased the site and gained ownership of it October of 2010. Since then, from October to about June, a large portion of the time was spent flattening the hills. I don't know if you guys are campers, but when I camp, I like to find the flattest spot I can. And the site here in West Virginia, that could be quite a search for 40,000 people at one time. So we had to flatten those hills, grade them, and we have 5 villages here, 6 villages actually in these areas, which includes the staff village, that'll house 48,000 people for the Jamboree. And what are they going to do? We're going to have a lot of really cool activities for them. The purpose of this Jamboree, the activities, the cool things that the kids could do were limited to things that we could build in about 2 weeks. Now we're building permanent facilities, the very best program facilities that these kids can come and experience true, high adventure, high excitement, high energy activities that are going to be very unique. Right here, this area here is called Mayhem Mountain. That's going to be our extreme sports area. That'll have BMX biking, skateboarding, mountain boarding, disc golf. That's probably not the most dangerous thing they'll do, but we'll have it there. We have these 2 areas here are shooting sports. This is archery, and this is our firearms shooting sports area. At Fort A.P. Hill, it was a military base, but that doesn't mean you could shoot any gun you wanted off, obviously. And we were limited to short-range firearms, which were shotguns and black powder rifles. Here, we'll have those, as well as high-powered rifles. We'll have a pistol range for our older adventurer scouts, and it is being designed to our specifications, as opposed to us designing these facilities to the military specifications. Here we have Adventure Valley. Adventure Valley is going to be home to some of our coolest stuff, I think, in my mind. In Adventure Valley, we'll have 37 miles of mountain bike trail. We will have a world-class rock climbing facility that utilizes both natural rock on the site. We're also building large artificial rock climbing walls. They look like they're rock, but we're building them and designing them. We have our challenge course, obstacle course facilities will be here. We also have two really cool facilities, our big zip lines here and here. And this big zip line here is going to be over 3,000 feet long. One of the longest this company's ever built. And right here is going to be our canopy tour facility. Bonsai is building zip lines and canopy tours. They're the company that built I know they did Class 6 and others around the area. This is the largest canopy tour facility they've ever built. So it's very exciting. Next up, this area here is the zoom into that map there, is the Summit Center. The areas I just talked about during the 10 days of the Jamboree, during that time, will be for scouts only, Jamboree participants, the kids that pay, their fee to come for the whole 10 days. This area here, the Summit Center, will be open to the public for day visitors. 7 of the 10 days of the Jamboree, a visitor can pay a fee and come and check out what's going on in the Summit Center. That's general public. You won't need to be a registered scout, or it could be a registered scout that didn't come to the Jamboree for the full time. They can come and get an experience here. What you'll get in here, this is going to be where our exhibits and displays are. This is where our scouting museum will be. This will be our largest retail operation will be. Our arena shows will be in here. We have 2 big arena shows. On Tuesday of the Jamboree, we have our opening show. That's the Jamboree participants. That's 40,000 people. And then on Sunday of the Jamboree, we have the big show, which will be open to the day visitors that come on that Sunday. Their pass will include a chance to check that out. And we're planning for 80,000 people. So this is the arena that's going to hold 80,000 people. Fireworks, really awesome music, and really cool stuff. So, but one of the coolest areas about the Summit Center is right here. This is Action Point. Action Point is going to have smaller versions of the activities in those camps I talked about on the previous slide. So there'll be a BMX area, there'll be a skateboard area, there'll be shorter canopy tours here, as well as mountain bike trails. We've got the smaller zip lines that go right over the arena show. So anyone that comes, even for that just day, is going to get a taste of those really cool activities that the kids are doing. But the best stuff out in the camps I talked about previously is during the Jamboree, reserved for those kids that plunk down a hard-earned $1,200 or so when it's all said and done. This is an aerial view of the site. What you'll see, this is facing west from the east. So this is that Action Point area. This is the Summit Center Arena. This is the Living Village, is the staff to orient you. Highway 19 is somewhere around here. This is the opposite direction. This is from the west going east. You can see again Action Point, the staff village, Summit Center area, A and B villages. These little black dots right there, those are 777 dump trucks. They have 13-foot tires. So that gives you an idea, perspective on that site. This is one of the largest construction sites in America right now. So, one of the most important things about it as we developed this site, we kind of talked about the importance in the projects we're doing in community service, but being green friendly, sustainable energy and sustainable resources. All this flat area that we had to create before it was flat, that also was covered in trees. We had to cut those trees down. But we had those trees milled, and they've been processed, and we're using that wood to construct 352 of the highest tech shower houses and bathrooms that you could ever want to see. And we're really hoping that during the 10 days of the Jamboree, the kids take 1 shower. Consider that a victory. So, but that's just one example in how we're going about thinking and planning this site. And I believe the company that designed and built these shower houses were out of Bluefield here in Mercer County. So, very excited about that. The equipment Jamboree fee consists of two parts. There's the fee that comes to the national organization, the Jamboree department, the summit. That for 2013 is $850. 2010, it was $800. What we're doing with that $50 is we are providing all of this equipment. In the past, because we borrowed the site, we didn't have a permanent home, the troops and the councils had to pay and purchase all their tents, their picnic tables, their stoves, everything had to be brought with them. So in addition to getting a bus to bring out their one troop, they usually had to get a semi to take out all their equipment. So in addition to that $850, the other part of the Jamboree fee is the transportation and the equipment fees in the past. And that's set by each local council. Coming from California is going to be a lot different price than coming from Pennsylvania. So that price was how it varied. But what we've done by raising our price $50, we've completely eliminated the council's equipment portion. What we're finding is most troops, councils are lowering their contingent costs anywhere between $150 to $300. So the 2013 Jamboree is going to be cheaper for a scout to come to than it was in 2010, and we're very proud of that fact. People are always wondering about jobs on the site. The Boy Scouts, right now we have 10 employees here at the Summit office in the Crossroads Mall, next to the Sears and the music store. That's interesting sometimes when it's drum day. Right now, the vast majority of the employees are through Trinity Works, the large site development company that we've hired to do the construction and development of the site. Our contract stipulates that they hire 80% West Virginia labor. So that is where most of the employment opportunities are through right now on the site with construction and whatnot. The Shower House Company being a good example of that. And they're working hard. They work 2 10-hour shifts a day when weather permits. But this is an aggressive timetable, but we're going to get it. They're using the highest tech technology. Their front-end loaders have GPS units on each side of the shovel. They can grade roads at night. The satellites in space tell them exactly where tell the shovel exactly where to be. They don't even need to see the road, and they know they're doing well. Another big benefit of this site, it's got a lot of rocks. All the gravel we need for a site like this is huge. It would be about 26,000 truckloads, 300,000 tons that we would have had to import over West Virginia roads. It's on the site. None of that load ever gets on a public highway, so we think that's pretty cool. Yeah, more equipment. And have you ever anyone been to a Jamboree at Fort A.P. Hill? There's a lot of cardboard signs taped up in places. It was a temporary site. This place is going to feel like we meant for these scouts to be here. We're developing signage, permanent signage, and we've got a really great team working on that. And this is a team. They came out last February. Professionally, for instance, the extreme sports area is being designed and constructed by Spawn Ranch. You probably don't know what that is. They've designed and constructed all the facilities for the X Games for ESPN over the last 17 years. If you don't know what the X Games are, call your grandkids, call your kids, they'll explain it to you. It's very interesting. But that's the top level of people we're getting to design these facilities. The same with the shooting sports, climbing, and all those areas. We've also hired consultants from the theme park industry. Walt Disney, we've got people, this guy here was part of the team that helped design and develop Disney World in Florida. We're bringing all those sorts of things as well as our volunteer team that has been working with scouts and jamborees for many, many years. So that's the thought that's going into this. It's very well designed. Summit Corps. Last summer it was the first event that we brought scouts out to West Virginia in the name of the summit. They didn't stay on the summit. They were on the actual property for about 20 minutes, I think. Went to the top of the hill, the summit of the summit, if you will, on Garden Ground Mountain. But they came here to West Virginia, 1,200 kids, and they constructed a 13-mile stack loop mountain bike trail in the New River Gorge. This is a trail that's already open to the public. The first thing that we brought scouts here to do was for the benefit of the public, and I think that is going to set a tone for what we do here in West Virginia and what we're here to talk about tonight. Funding, briefly talk about that. This as far as we can tell, we've tried to do the best research we can on it, but this is the largest privately funded, donor-funded operation that's ever been attempted. If there's bigger ones out there, they don't really advertise it. So that's our story, and we're sticking to it. But we are now, thanks to a recent donation from Jim Justice this last September of $25 million, we're over $250 million needed for the $400 million of the first two phases of the summit. So let me go back a second to this right here, because that's what we're here to talk about tonight, is service. During the Jamboree, there'll be 5 days when we're sending scouts out into West Virginia communities to do service work. Each scout that comes to the Jamboree will spend one of their days here at the Jamboree doing this work. But we want it to be work that is important to the community, that's going to make a difference in your community. And to do that, we need your help. We need your input. We need you to fill these applications out and tell us what our scouts could do when they get off the bus that is going to matter to Mercer County. Cutter hinted at it. You know, the Boy Scouts of America is ultimately going to have the final say, yes or no, on any of these projects. But we're not going to say no to a project. If we say no to a project, it's going to be because we logistically can't support it. There are some, for instance, scouts can't use power tools, and they can't be working up on scaffolding or roofs. And if a project involves too much of that, we may not be able to do it. You know, it's a we know some spots in some counties in this area, it might be a 3-hour drive, even though it's only 65 miles. But that's the point Cutter made, is if we get an application with a great idea, if the Boy Scouts can't do it, this team at the CCC, they're gonna find ways to get that project done. Good ideas are not gonna get forgotten about. So, you know, don't concern yourselves with, well, is this something the Boy Scouts can do? The Boy Scouts are going to be a big part of this, but we're not going to be the only part, and this is not going to be the end. July 24th is not going to be the end of this process, thanks to the CCC and what they've committed. But again, we're not going to ever, the Boy Scouts, myself, is not going to ever say no to a project because, no, they don't need that in Mercer County. We don't know. This is why we need your help and input. And as Cutter said, you know, there'll be a review process. It's really important to get this volunteer structure in your community established, because the people that are reviewing and prioritizing these projects that come in, that's going to be a huge important job of this Mercer County's committee once it gets formed. You know, it's not going to be just me or just the CCC deciding what's a great project. It's going to be your community leaders that step forward here to be part of this process. So, you know, people are always asking, you know, what do we get out of this project? Well, to get anything out, we got to put stuff in, and so we need ideas. We need your time. We need your passion, and that's what we're here tonight to start that process. These applications. This is a chance. You know, you ever sit at the coffee shop and hear one of the patrons talk about how, man, this stoop needs to get fixed, that park needs to be cleaned up, whatever. Hand them the application. Now is the time to start getting stuff done. And we really look forward to this chance. I think this part of the Jamboree is going to be a great home run if we can get the community involvement and getting you guys to work with us and finding out what's going to make a difference to you. So I'll open the floor to questions.
I have to.
Yes.
Okay, there's 5, let's say we have a 3-day project that we've agreed on, but it sounds to me like the scouts.
We can do that.
But it'll be a different scout troop.
It'll be a different set of scouts each day, and that's why that project leadership is going to be very important for the site. You know, we're going to have 4 adult leaders that, you know, it's not necessarily about babysitting, it's about you know, this is what we want painted, this is the what color we want painted, this is where the ditch needs to be dug, and especially with the projects that go over 2 days, that's gonna be very important.
Just to tell you, I'm the West Virginia University Extension agent working with 4-H, and
Okay.
we've done, on a much more smaller scale,
Mhm.
community service projects at 4-H camp
Right.
at various places.
Yes.
And I've done them with whole camps,
Uh-huh.
like all of Jackson's, all the kids at Older Members Conference and Alpha have done projects. And my question to you is, because one of the things that has to happen when you bring 36 kids, if you're painting, you need 36 paintbrushes. Or,
Absolutely.
you know, and some of those kinds of things. Is that something that we as a local community and the funding people are gonna have to do? Is that, you know, because the one I guess I can think of is you're building trails, you're gonna need a certain amount of equipment for those children.
Right.
But then, where does it go back to once you've got it? I
Right.
mean, some of those kinds of things.
I'll take a stab at this, and my CCC friends are gonna input it. And when we started this process, that was one of the points that I made, and they obviously, they already knew. But the worst thing to happen in this process will be for the bus to get there,
And
the
not
kids to
happen.
get off, and not to be prepared. And that's why we're having these meetings and starting this process now. Your questions with the fundraising. You know, we anticipate we're gonna get we're gonna be working with the New River Gorge Park. You know, that's a project, you know, some of these projects are gonna come to us and they have resources. Like New River Gorge is gonna have a lot of resources for tools and you know, project leadership. And what we're bringing to them is the manpower to build a 13-mile trail in 2 weeks. Obviously, that's not gonna be the same time frame. So we're gonna have those projects. But we're also gonna have projects from groups that have a very important need, but don't have the resources like the New River Gorge is gonna have. And we have to do those projects as well. It's very important to do those projects. And that, in my mind, is one of the most important parts of the fundraising committee. And one point I want to make about the community service fundraising committee that gets formed, the money they raise does not come to the Boy Scouts of America. It is all for the subject that you just spoke of. Making sure that the materials, tools, if you know a backhoe has to get rented to be operated, that one of the volunteers who's certified to operate things that the volunteer committee has identified. So that shows you how these committees have to work together. And that's the purpose of the fundraising committee, and that's part of the application. It'll talk about what resource do you have and what do you need help with. If you need help, that's not going to be a black mark on your application. That just lets us know where we need to devote energy to becoming prepared for that project.
And also, you might want to start thinking about, when we start planning for the projects, we determine which projects there are. So you need to start thinking about secure storage facilities within Mercer County. Because there are going to be some projects that maybe today, some individuals in this room today already know about a project that's going to be a home run. So there's no reason we shouldn't start buying materials or having people to donate their materials right now so that we can store that a year and a half ahead of time. So we have to start thinking large scale. And yes, the tools and all this sort of stuff, the groups in the county will determine where those tools are stored after the Jamboree so that it can be used in the furtherance of these projects in the future.
Who will be responsible for insurance coverage for the scouts while they're performing their duties in counties and in municipalities? Is that a blanket
Our scouts are
coverage?
covered for service projects. Service projects are nothing new to the Boy Scouts of America. Every rank involves it. Boy Scouts are doing projects on other lands every weekend. What's new about this is the large scale of it. So we have the insurance taken care of, yes. All right, well, yes.
You said that this was a reoccurring thing every 4 years?
The Jamboree is every 4 years.
So will these projects be available every 4 years? Is that something you're going to continue, or is
Our
it a
hope-
one-time thing?
And like I said, this is the largest scale that we've ever done a service project on, and this is gonna be our first time through. We've got a good plan, we've got a great partner with the CCC. They've dedicated a lot of time, a lot of evenings to this project, and we think it's going very well. But again, it's a very large project, and it's our first time through. So there'll be some tweaks, and we'll see how things go. But it is our hope and goal to do projects on this scale for all of our large-scale jamboree events, which is every 4 years. And then in 2019, our last slide here, we'll be hosting the World Jamboree. The World of Scouting is coming, and it's going to be, we're planning for the basic numbers, same numbers, about 48,000 people. But it'll be a larger, much more international flavor to it. In 2013, an important point to make, will be the first time that venturers are allowed to attend as participants. And what venturing is the Boy Scouts of America's high school age program, and it is co-educational. So this Jamboree opportunity is open to males and females. In the past, the only way a female could participate was as staff. Now, a female venturer can participate and get the same experience that a male in the Boy Scouts
What's the
program
age
gets.
group of, that's a good, what age group of kids are we talking?
Venturing, the entire jamboree
With
is.
the jamboree, what age group of kids
is
are we?
12 to 18 is the youth.
12 to 18.
With venturers, participants, in venturing program is 14 to 21. All right, I got a quick video here. Very excited stuff.